Greetings, Commanders. We are now live, and today I'm joined by a very, very special guest. I'm going to allow them to introduce themselves. You may know him as Mr. Brassy and Classy. Oh, can't hear anything, Brassy. Okay, hang on. Having some technical difficulties. All right,
Can
try it now, Brassy.
you hear me?
Yeah, there we go. Now we can hear you. Awesome. All right, so allow you to introduce yourself. Sorry about that. Some technical difficulties here on my end, but so
Hello.
tell us about yourself, Brassy.
I am Brassy and Classy. I'm no one special. I'm a sub mod on the GFE Discord. I'm a representative of GF Wiki. I am a moderator for GFLCast and a commander on the Chinese server. Digital.
You say not much, but you actually gave us quite a bit there.
Well, stuff kind of happened, and one thing led to another, and
All right, so safe to say you started this game playing on the Chinese servers, correct?
Yeah, I started during the Arctic, well, about 2 weeks before Arctic Warfare launched on the Chinese server. And I had a really bad time in Arctic Warfare. It was not good.
But you did you clear all three chapters, or do you only get to
Oh
chapter
no,
two?
absolutely, absolutely not. I got my M1887 and I just got out.
So you got out of there quick. He's like, you didn't even get to ranking.
Oh no. Ranking was, um, ranking in Arctic Warfare was a unique for CN at
Oh,
that point.
it's 50 turns if I'm not mistaken, correct?
Oh yeah. I don't even think I had any dolls with their skills trained. And this was also about a week after I started playing. They also changed how all the skills worked.
Jeez.
They went from, I believe the skills back then used to activate randomly during a battle, and but then they switched over to the cooldown system, and all the skills changed. Meta basically shifted overnight.
And you mentioned that you're also a member of the Girls Frontline Wiki team. How'd that happen?
I contacted. Well, I kind of nosed my way in there one day, uh, but yeah, I asked one of the admins if I could help in any way, and I started doing T-Doll their lines. I started doing their translations for the lines, is where I started off. Nowadays, I keep up the list of characters page on a wiki as well as the lore pages. And my most recent work was the enemy pages, which we have new enemy pages on the GF wiki for anyone interested that offer all the information that you should need to deal with the regular enemies on EN, along with a couple of ones that have yet to appear.
My question is, do you have the chibis?
Absolutely, we have chibis for days.
Nice, because I like all the chibis. That is my area of expertise. All right, so you've been playing this game for about 3 years, roughly,
Yeah, almost 3 years. Yeah, almost 3 years.
and out of all the time that you've been playing this game, who is your raifu? Who is your number one?
Scarecrow. Oh wait, does it have to be a waifu?
Scarecrow. I mean, if we had to choose, not saying it's fairy, but a Griffin and Kruger T-doll for developed by IOP, who would you pick?
Probably SR3 MP or K11.
Solum, I'm gonna need you to come in here for a minute. We've got a
Hey,
suspect
no,
here
you
in
can't do
custody.
this. You can't do this to me. I was promised immunity.
Solum, you're gonna need the big handcuffs for this one, okay? All right, but
You can't do this to me. I am the lowly police. You can't do this to me.
all right. So let's get on the topic, shall we? So recently on EN,
Yes.
We had some new T-dolls come in the works. One of them being the EN pre-release T-doll M200 5-star rifle, and the two Carcano sisters. I call them Grape and Strawberry. I'm sure that's what everyone else calls them. And then some 4 stars, Type 80 and PP 1901. So based on your initial reaction to M200, what do you think of her?
360 no scope legs.
I think that's a lot of people's right there. Someone just said that in chat. MLG no scope. That is everybody's reaction to it. Over on the Reddit, I see leg memes for days. There are so many leg
In all
memes.
serious, in all seriousness, she's a really cute doll.
She is. She
I
is.
like her design.
It's got that gray hair and those soulless eyes that stare into you for days.
She's small. Wait, no.
Wait,
Sorry.
wait, wait. What? What?
She's cute. She's cute. I said she's cute.
Okay. All right then. All right. And the Carcanos. So these two T-dolls, I think Ian is getting these T-dolls a little bit early compared to the other servers. What can you tell us about the Carcanos?
So the Kakano sisters are pretty unique among rifles in that their tile buffs will buff other rifles instead of handguns. Besides that, their skills are pretty unique to themselves. Carcano has a pretty interesting, or sorry, Pink Carcano. I believe you referred to her as Strawberry. Has a pretty
Yes.
unique self buff, and so does Carcano M9138, who has a skill that is essentially a nuke against non-boss enemies.
So in other words, every so many shots or stacks, she'll just do a big ol' bamboo without the charge up time against a single enemy.
Yes, and most importantly, both of them get children's day skins later on. I'm sorry. What?
Oh, yes, yes. Solum, you're gonna need to get the taser as well. Thank you very much. We'll have it for you at the end of the cast. All right. So next on the list, on the roadmap we have for March. So the roadmap, first thing we're gonna get is Chapter 8, Normal and Emergency. So we thought the storyline for Girls Frontline so far has been pretty rosy. Without any spoilers, should we expect big things in Chapter 8?
I would say so. Yes, Chapter 8 is a pretty big turning point in the story. I think it's not quite where our troubles begin, and it's definitely not where they end.
So in other words, this is where things start to take a turn for the worse.
Oh, I'm sure most players will agree that they already have, but this is where it starts ramping up a little bit.
And someone in the chat asked, should we expect new enemies in Chapter 8?
New enemies. I don't think there are any major ones.
Okay. And next on the list, we're gonna have a wedding dress and voucher event, and we'll get one costume out of it. And then the third thing, fairies. These are a very big game changer, are they not?
Yep, very small, very powerful. Um, just great things to have.
And then we're gonna have a rerun of the past gacha. I'm going to assume it's the wedding gacha, and then we're gonna get a new gacha as well. And the next week, March 5th, 6th, and 7th, we'll have the Q&A on the Facebook and Twitter, Reddit, and the Discord. And just so you all know, Brassy and I are part of the Q&A team on the Discord, so we'll be there to help answer questions. Right, Brassy?
Yes, yes, I will be very happy to answer any questions you guys have.
Now, keep in mind, we can't answer those questions here. We'll only be able to ask questions regarding the podcast and maybe some of the general questions. If you have a question, please type it in the chat, and our moderators will collect them and we'll answer them at the end. Or you can join the Girls Frontline GFLCast Discord and post the questions there just at Okami Panda, and I'll be able to do that. You can also post the Q&A questions in the link that Brassy just posted. Those are for the official Q&A, which will be answered by Vector later on, correct?
Yes, that is. I just posted the Q&A Google Docs form for March.
All right, so now let's get into the actual content of the podcast, shall we? So,
All
the
right.
first section, we call this Springfield's classroom. I refer to Springfield as the three core principal of our school. She teaches us many things. And today's first introduction, we're going to be talking about machine guns. All right, Brassy. So, what can you tell us about the basics of machine guns? What do we know?
Well, they do a lot of damage really fast. They're very they take a lot of resources both to craft and to maintain. They have a really long reload time. They have a high damage, high rate of fire that is fixed, unlike any other doll in the game. Um, they have pretty low accuracy, no evasion to speak of, surprisingly large health pools, and most importantly, AP ammo.
Now, that AP ammo is very important for not the day missions, but for the night missions you're taking them into, correct?
Oh, of course.
Because the thing about armor lacks what?
Armor lacks evasion. Most armored enemies, save for very few exceptions,
Manticores.
have no evasion to speak of. They will be completely mowed down, assuming you have armor piercing ammo loaded on your MGs. If you do not have armor piercing ammo loaded on your MGs, it is not going to end well.
So, in other words, it's very important that for some fights, it's required to have machine guns to take out those armored enemies in night battles because their weakness of low accuracy doesn't matter since they can't evade, correct?
Correct.
Alright, so one of the things that we want to go over about is how machine guns do their targeting. Their targeting is a bit weird and hasn't been explored much, has it?
Yeah, no. I think most people just kind of throw in a bunch of machine guns, watch as they kill everything, and it doesn't really matter what they target because everything's dead by the time, well, by the time you even blink. But
So now we know that they actually have some algorithm to their targeting. Now, this is the kill zone right here. This line that I'm moving right now, this is you guys may recognize it if you play Girls Frontline as the kill zone. This is the zone that which your T-dolls will attack enemies. If all enemies are within this zone, the machine guns will target randomly like handguns. They'll attack whatever they can. But they will engage and switch to the last enemy that enters the kill zone. So when this group of enemies starts in the kill zone, they're going to start firing at these guards when they first come in, and as the kill zone expands, they'll be switching targets to the enemies that most recently entered the kill zone. So in other words, after that most recent target dies, then they'll just start sweeping and killing any enemy until it dies, and then switch targets. Now please note that the target is maintained through reloads. However, if you animation, well, not the you can't animation cancel them anymore, can you, Brassy?
you can't reload cancel anymore. No. You sort of can, but it's a very negligible benefit, and it's to the point where it's not worth trying.
So it's not worth it to try to animation cancel the reloads anymore.
No, you can't really do that anymore.
Got it. So now machine guns have some. There's three different schools for skills that I have for machine guns. The first group are passives, and of the elite four, as Brassy calls them, M2HB, PK, MG5, and PKP all have passive skills. So Brassy, what is so important about these elite four machine guns?
Well, you have to beat all four of them to in order to become a Pokemon champion. But besides that, all four of them have passive skills that do not require any sort of cooldown before they start working. So immediately, right when the battle starts, they're gonna have that bonus.
Hmm. And that gets me into the next set of T-dolls, which they're the hunting impulse machine guns, and these have an initial cooldown, I believe, of 2 seconds. Now, why is that 2 second important?
Or I believe it was actually three
Oh,
seconds
3 seconds?
for
Oh, my
hunting
bad.
impulse.
My bad.
But the hunting impulse is pretty. That 3 second cooldown is very important because usually by you're gonna be spending those 3 seconds. Well, two of those 3 seconds are usually spent walking when a battle starts. And then usually by the third second, your dolls are going to be set up on the ground and firing. So basically, on the very first volley, these skills will be active, and your T dolls will gain that. bonus on the first volley, which is very important because you want all the enemies to die on the first volley generally.
Ah, so that explains why Negev isn't used too often because her skill increases damage by 50% after each reload. It's stackable, but it's not useful if the enemies don't survive one volley, correct?
Yes, you generally just want your MGs to cripple or completely wipe out the enemy before they get a chance to counterattack. That is the MG doctrine. Overwhelming firepower, straight up.
Hmm. And so Negev, while she's not useful too much on EN, does she become useful later on?
Oh, I'm sure maybe in the future, if a boss comes along that has a ton of defense or some sort of mechanic that reduces the damage she takes, but that thing eventually goes down. But the fight takes a long time and you need something that can last super long, I'm sure she'll come in handy.
Oh, okay. So in other words, keep her for the future then.
Oh, of course. Yes. She's
And
cute after all. And small.
she is. No, no, no. According to her artist, she's actually quite stacked.
She gets a child stage skin. Yeah.
All right. Hey, Solum. I'm gonna need you to not only bring the taser, but also need to bring in the hot wax as well as the spikes. Thank you, Solum.
Ooh, I like this.
Wait, what?
I'm sorry, what?
All right, next up, we have the second volley users. So these are the machine guns that have the skills activate on the second volley. So I believe one of the ones we brought up was M1918, aka Auntie Bar.
Yes. Good old Auntie Bar. Um,
So
do
she
you know
has
why
the.
she's called Auntie Bar?
Oh, why is she called an Auntie Bar?
Because she's everybody's Obar-san.
So her skill is damage focus, which is a straight up just flat damage increase for 6 seconds, which is by the time it takes for her to empty her second volley, correct?
Yep. It's a pretty useful skill, but the fact that it only activates on a second volley does kind of dampen her a little bit.
But Auntie Bar does become more viable later on when she gets a mod 3, correct?
Yes.
Mm. Now we'll leave that alone for the future. One of the next things we're going to bring up is machine gun accuracy, because we both know that machine guns have terrible accuracy. One of the documents that I found is from Demise, and he brought up this number of 35, which if they're a low accuracy machine gun, you'll give them a red dot, which raises their accuracy a considerable amount. If they have a medium amount of accuracy, then give them a EOT, and if they have high accuracy, give them a crit scope VFL. All the while, you want to keep in that 35 or more accuracy, because that's going to be enough to hit just about all enemies except scouts, correct?
Yes. Deadly Messenger, or Demes as he's known, has a pretty good rule of thumb with 35 accuracy being the baseline for what you need um, to basically figure out what kind of optic your MG has.
Alright, so now we've gone over some MGs. One of the things that many people are looking forward to is LWMG. She's going to be our first machine gun that we'll be reviewing tonight. She is made by a company called General Dynamics, which is a US based company, and LWMMG stands for lightweight.
Go. Oh, sorry. What?
No, no, not that one. We're talking about the real world one. So in the real world, LWMG stands for lightweight medium machine gun, and she has a recoil that's similar to the 7.62 millimeter NATO machine gun, but she uses a .338 in normal cartridge. And the purpose when they made her is to have good range for a 50 caliber machine gun. But
Yes.
what's some
Uh,
in-game trivia you can tell us about her?
in game, she's got these really cute twin tails, and or sorry, in game, uh, she uses the hunting impulse skill, and she has a tile buff that buffs a shotgun that's directly 2 tiles in front of her.
Mm. And her artist is RFF, that's Romeo Foxtrot Foxtrot, and her voice actress, if I'm pronouncing this correctly, Nita Hiyori,
I
and
think that's about. I think that's about right.
she voices Endo Reno in Jinsei, as well as Domyoji Karin from the Idolmaster Cinderella Girls. So those are some other games that Nita Hiyori voice acts in. And her artist, RFF, I don't believe he draws any of the T-dolls, correct?
Yeah, I don't think so either.
Okay. And so, other than she gets a Mod 3 in the future, I understood there was some interesting things about the Chinese translation of her name.
I did say it before, 老王默默狗.
And that means.
It's a pretty silly name. It means in Chinese, old Wang pets a dog.
And this has been her nickname for quite a while, I'm assuming.
Yes, it's a pretty old name.
So, other T-dolls that also have the Hunting Impulse skill, we know them on EN M1919A4 and MK48. And they have the exact same skill. However, the difference is that for every star increase, it's another 5% to the accuracy. If you look on her right now, you'll see Hunting Impulse increases LWMMG's accuracy by 60%. All hits are critical for 6 seconds. So not only she get a big accuracy buff, all the shots is going to be doing instant crit, 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 crits. And the 3-star version of this skill is 65% accuracy, and the 4-star variant is 70% accuracy. Now, when you compare to the other T-dolls, what can you tell us the differences between them, Brassy?
Well, M1919A4 is small, or sorry, uh, differences.
I'm noticing a theme here, Brassy. Is there anything when you let the chat know about?
No, no,
Okay,
nothing.
okay. You sure? You sure?
So yes, all three of them are hunting impulse dolls. LWMMG and well, LWMMG and M1919A4 have 9 shots in their clip, while Mark 48 has 10 shots. But in exchange, Mark 48 has lower damage, about the same accuracy, but she also has higher ROF.
Oh, and rate of fire isn't the rate of fire that we're used to for other T-dolls. All machine guns fire at 150 rounds 150, correct? All machine guns have it when firing. The rate of fire is actually something else, correct?
Yes, basically their rate of fire is equivalent to a doll with 150 ROF.
But that rate of fire in the stats page is actually the reload speed, correct?
Yes, that rate of fire in your stats page directly influences their reload speed for their clip.
So,
So that's how long. The minimum for reload speed is 4 seconds, and for every point of ROF, it reduces whatever their actual reload speed is by a certain amount.
oh, well, that's a good information to know. Hear that, everyone? Important information. So, on a final note about LWMMG, would you recommend her?
Oh yeah, sure. She's cute. She's got a great skill. She's very easy to get relative to most other MGs, at least. And she gets a mod.
Mm. And like I said, we're gonna leave that alone for the future when Ian finally does get that. But so overall, a well, I say highly recommended, you say, or just recommended?
Highly recommended, I would say.
Highly recommended machine gun. All right. So now we reviewed machine guns, let's get into shotguns, shall we? All right. So shotguns. Here we go.
Thick girls.
They are indeed very thick. They have very thick armor as well as very high HP, right?
Oh yeah, we're talking about armor, huh? Yeah, they have thick armor too.
Wait, wait. Why do you like thick girls if you're talking about the small girls? I'm noticing something different here, Brassy. You got conflicting interests. You're giving mixed signals here.
You can't look, okay? There's some things that are good, and then there's also like it's like liking sweet things and also liking salty things, okay? Just it's a matter of taste.
So, can you also please bring in the shotgun with rubber bullets? Thank you very much. I'd appreciate it.
Okay, I do not like the sound of that.
All right. So on the screen we have 3 known shotguns. We have a Pizza Lion, we have the Terminator, and we have Captain China.
Huh.
Yes.
Wonder
So
what they're doing.
I know they're fighting 2 guards and 3 Jaegers there. So what can you tell us about the targeting priority of shotguns?
So shotguns will target whichever enemy is closest to them, no matter what. pretty much.
Closest to them or closest to the back line?
Closest to her back line, I mean.
Ah, so in other words, we'll just rearrange this. So if you look on the stream right now, you can see there's one guard at the bottom. Even though Sat-8 is closest to the middle guard right there, she's going to fire on the one with the targeting reticule on her. Same with M1887. They're all going to focus on that guard until it gets knocked back, which is another unique shotgun aspect. So tell us a little bit about knockbacks, Brassy.
So sometimes somebody gets, kind of in your face, and you kind of just want them to back off a little bit, right? Shotguns kind of take this to the extreme and just kind of shoot them, and then when they get shot, they just fly backwards.
And the shotguns, they actually will recalculate their targeting priority, correct? So
Yeah,
if
after every shot, they'll recalculate to see where their next target is,
so in other
because
words,
they'll always shoot at the closest thing.
if this one here gets knocked back, pew, the shotguns will then re-target this guard right here, as this one's closest to the back line, correct?
Correct.
Alright, and shotguns, there is one shotgun with a passive skill, but Ian does not have her. Her name is Seely, and we're not going to get her quite a while. So for now, we have shotguns going to two different schools. We have the defense-oriented shotguns and the offense-oriented shotguns. I believe you're going at length about Sat-8, if I'm not mistaken. What can you tell us about his skill?
So Sat-8 has a very special skill among most shotguns, because she has a shield skill that gives her a sort of, um, if you've ever played an Elder Scrolls game, you'll know the fortify health effect that gives you a little bit of an extra health bar.
Mhm.
Sat-8 basically gives you a small extra health bar that can soak up damage while it's active. In addition, her skill has an initial cooldown of, I believe, 4 seconds, and as well as a very quick cooldown after those 4 seconds. So almost half the time she's on the field, she'll have a shield up, and that shield will be soaking up tons of damage as long as it's active.
So it has a very high uptime, correct?
Yeah, very high uptime, very high, and it boosts her survivability by a ridiculous amount.
And it's not just her survivability, it's also whoever is in the front line.
Yeah, she gives it to all allies in the front row.
So even if she's not in the front row, there's other ones in front, she'll give it to them instead, correct?
Or, well, as well.
Well, usually she's going to be in the front row, but if she
Oh,
were to
yeah.
be in the middle lane, she'll give it to ones in the front. But to be honest, why would
Yeah.
you put a shotgun in the middle lane? That's crazy.
Also, if there's a certain effect, for example, that would place I don't know, some sort of entity in front of your dolls in the front row, she might also give a shield to that as well.
Now, there happens to be a fairy called the Taunt Fairy. Does this
Indeed.
Would this happen to help with, since we are going to be talking about fairies later on, would that apply to the Taunt Fairy dummy that spawns in the front?
Yes, I believe so. Her shield, she will give the taunt dummy a shield.
Ooh, that's very nice. That's good information for later on. Alright, so keep that in my back pocket for a strategy later on. So another thing about shotguns is something unique to them, the ammunition types. They have buckshot and slugs. Now a slug will make it so instead of hitting 3 enemies, the shots will hit 1 enemy instead. And buckshot will just further enhance the 3 shots that they already have. When would you want to use a slug over buckshot?
So the problem with slug shots is that a lot of shotgun skills are not compatible with slug shots. But for certain dolls that do have compatible skills, a slug shot can significantly increase their effectiveness in damage dealing, especially because of the accuracy bonus that slug just gives. In addition, it'll basically turn them into something that's more like an RF, where they'll do a ton of single shot high damage to a single target.
So in other words, good for bossing.
Not in some cases, yes.
Some cases. Okay. For what we have on Ian, if they have to go against the boss, will it be good, or will the machine gun simply mow down the boss before it even makes a difference?
For the most part, you'll be depending on the MGs, I believe. I
Okay.
can't really think of any bosses where an SG would be super effective compared to the MGs behind them at least.
All right. So another, so the other shotguns that we have are the activated offensive shotguns. So these are shotguns like USAS 12 and M1887, Type 97 shotgun, and an M37. These have the skills that are more orientated for dealing damage to enemies. Correct?
Yes.
All right. So now that we've gone over some shotgun basics, let's get into reviewing one shotgun that we all recognize. Type 97S, Type 97 shotgun. I will admit, she was my very first shotgun, and I'm gonna wager that most of you guys in chat, she was also probably your very first shotgun. Who was your first shotgun, Brassy?
My first shotgun was M2 or M500.
Oh, shotgun IDW?
Yes, shotgun IDW. I think, except I think she's a dog.
No, I think she's a cat because she's all in her fan art. She's always shown with IDW, and they have cat ears doing cat stuff. She's a good girl. She's cute though. I like girls with cat ears, but we're getting on a tangent now. All right, so she is made from the manufacturer called China North Industries Group Corporation, and she originates from country of origin, People's Republic of China. Now, her nickname is Captain China, as we've called him many times, because of that iconic shield that she has, which is like Captain America, except she's Chinese. And her artist name was Hippos, like the hippopotamus. I found that very weird.
I think it's just one hippo.
Hippo. And according to the wiki, that artist does draw other titles, correct?
Yes, he is the artist of G43 and Makarov.
Mm. And the voice actress is Otsubo Yuka, and I believe Otsubo Yuka also voices a very famous ship in Kantai Collection.
Yeah, Kitakami, I believe.
What does she do?
She's a torpedo boat. That's all I really know. I don't play. I
Uh,
don't play.
well,
Sorry.
even though you don't know it, you know who she is.
Oh, absolutely. I play World of Warships.
Is
Kitakami, everyone's favorite torpedo boat.
so even there, a famous torpedo boat. Got it. All right, so some real life trivia we have her. She's a pump action 12 gauge shotgun, and she's a very close duplicate of the Remington 870, which at the time when the Type 97 shotgun was under development was no longer under patent protection in the 1990s. So when it was designed, it even uses some of the same interchangeable parts as the Remington 870. And this shotgun is widely used and recognized by, by numerous private security companies in China. So it is a gun that many people in China would be able to easily recognize as it's a common tactical shotgun. And I believe in the US, it's all the Remington 870 is also used still quite often, is it not?
Absolutely. We actually do have Remington Mate 70 in a game along with Type 97 in the Chinese servers, as
Uh,
well as the Korean and Taiwanese. She'll be
she's
coming to EN soon, don't worry.
Hoxi, I believe the term for it. She's the one with the scorpion tail, correct?
Yeah, she's the Decepticon.
Scorpion tail and riot shield. All
Ah,
right.
yes, the one that's totally not the one that has a logo that is definitely not the California Highway Police logo.
And if you oath her, are you going to go to jail?
I won't be oathing her, so
Are you going to get sent to jail, Brassy?
if I try to,
You're going to jail.
maybe.
You're going to jail.
Hey! I
Solum,
plead, I
Solum,
plead the fifth.
Solum, don't just bring the rubber bullets, but also please bring in the rubber slugs as well.
This is
We're gonna
double
need
jeopardy.
we're gonna need some heavy duty ammunition for this, okay? He's resisting arrest, so please make sure you come properly equipped.
Do
All right.
you know who I am?
Um, that's for the judge to decide.
Ah,
So, other T-dolls that have identical skills to Firepower Focus, which is increasing the damage by 120%, and the attacks will hit 5 targets instead of 8. Please note this does not stack with slugs, it only works with the standard ammunition, which is no ammunition, or buckshots. Other T-dolls that have this is Spas 12, which we'll be getting in March for the shotgun, new shotgun batch. along with KS23, aka the Shock Tooth Grin, correct?
Yep.
So, what can you tell us about the differences between these three?
So, in terms of rarity, so far the only guns that are EN are KS23, like you mentioned, and Type 97S. KS23 being a 3-star, while Type 97S is a 4-star. Spaz 12 is also a 4-star, and she has, compared to the other two, Spaz 12 has one more round in her clip, as well as the same damage as Type 97S, and one more armor. Yes, she has one less tile. She's missing the bottom tile in their formation, the one in position 1. Yes, the tile increases damage by 20% compared to Type 97S's 12% damage bonus. Yeah, in daytime, it can mean the difference between hitting those scouts and not hitting those scouts in the first volley, which is very crucial for, as I'm sure you will agree.
Ah, yep, definitely, definitely. Because I hate scouts. Out of all the enemies, I hate scouts the most.
Oh, wait, are they saying your mic did?
Yeah,
Hmm.
it was muted for a bit. I forgot to take it off. Sorry,
Oh,
guys.
whoops. We're back now, though, so yeah.
So, those of you who missed it, I was asking him questions about the tile buffs, which he answered. So that's what it was. It was a dip. What are scouts? Scouts are they look like flying V's. The mechanical enemies, they look like V's. You know,
Alright, do you think you could go back to the little Springfield's classroom screen that has
hang
that?
on. I don't think I have scouts on here, so I won't be able to. Instead, we'll just pull up the wiki page. I have so many browser windows pulled up, it's not even funny. Oh, the first page came up. Oh, look at this. It's one of the new pages. And there you go.
Indeed.
I
I
just sent the
believe
link in
this is
there.
one that Hellscythe worked on.
Ah, he's another member of it, correct? The wiki?
Yes, Hellscythe 42, very prominent member of the wiki. Does more work than me, I believe.
There's 42 people in the wiki staff? Jeez.
We have a lot of people. We have a core group that does most of the edits, but a lot of people help out, and it's always appreciated.
Of course, of course. You always need those volunteers. If you don't have those volunteers, you can't get a lot of the stuff done. I know exactly how you feel. All right,
Yes,
so now we've
we're
gone
always
over.
looking for more willing slaves. I mean volunteers.
Oh, there you go, guys. If you have some skills that would be useful to the wiki, contact the team for the wiki page and let them know that you're happy to help. Go for it. I'm sure Brass will be happy to review your application.
We will totally not put you into a sweatshop.
So now that we've reviewed one shotgun and one machine gun, let's go and put them on a team. So I call this team my first machine gun team. It's an easily accessible team that I think everyone will have very easy access to. Now, one disclaimer here, machine guns, while are very powerful, this is a machine gun teams or shotguns are very powerful. They are not they are not recommended for new players. Brassy, can you elaborate why?
So, machine gun dolls. When you first start out, they may seem very powerful. They may seem like they can wipe out entire enemy echelons in the first 4 seconds. It's very nice, I know. But you will notice as you use them that that little counter in the top right, where that has all, how much ammo you have and all those MREs you have that you've never really had to worry about before. Hey, that's suddenly going down really fast. uh,
Yes.
MGs and SGs will use a lot of ammo and MREs. They will absolutely eat up your stores. And before long, you will find yourself, like me, a broke commander with nothing to give to his dolls. You're gonna have to corpse drag them. You're gonna have to send them out on missions with no food. They're gonna hate you. it's just not a good time.
Oh, those poor T-dolls. They're gonna be like M16, perpetually never have food or ammunition. Alright, so one thing about this team here, so this is a more economical team. Now, this is a very easy to get team as well, correct, Brassy?
Yeah, for the most part, most of these dolls, I think you've designed this very well. You've M2 heavy, or yeah, M2 heavy, Mark 23, and Type 97S are pretty much guaranteed to be achievable by most players because you get M2 heavy from the 7-day login rewards along with Mark 23, and Type 97S is guaranteed with your first 10 heavy productions. MP446 is a very common HG drop. LWMG less so, but still a pretty common to start machine gun that you can get from crafting or maps.
You could probably get her easily just by farming the map a couple times. The ones that she
Yeah,
drops on, correct? It's little to
yeah,
no problem. Now, this team, while it's not the best machine gun team, it's still an effective one. This will be able to get people through a lot of the night battles they have to go through against heavy armor, correct? This team shouldn't have any issues,
correct.
with the
Yeah,
exception
for a
of
player's
scouts.
first MG team, they could be doing a lot worse.
So now about this team, we want to go into the statistics behind it because one of the things that people brought up last time is that during the podcast, when we show these teams, they want to see the tile buffs and the mathematics behind it. So here we are. So first up, we have Type 97's tiles. Her tile is highlighted in yellow, for those of you who don't know who she is, and the tiles that she buffs are the ones in blue. Now the thing about her tile is that she will not buff handguns. So MP446 will not be getting any buff from this whatsoever. Meanwhile, LWMG and M2HB will be getting a 12% damage increase. Then we have MK23, or Mach 23. Again, she's in yellow, and she buffs all the other T-dolls. She's gonna buff LWMMG, MP446, M2HB, and Type 97S with a whopping 36% damage increase. That's quite a bit. And there's a reason why she's really good is because she's good for just about every single machine gun team, is she not, Brassy?
Yeah, as you can see, her tiles pretty much fit this formation exactly. And she also has a very good skill for night battles.
And during the night, she increases allies' damage by 35% for 8 seconds. But during the day, it's 20% for only 5 seconds, so it's not quite as strong, but still, its raw damage
Still quite
increases.
sizable,
It is very
and
sizable.
along with her tile buff,
She
it's still
just
very sizable. Oh,
it's
sorry,
damage for days. Damage for days.
it is bad for days.
All right, so the last one is MP446. Now she'll only be able to buff these two machine guns, and that's all she needs to be able to do. And she's going to buff them with a 28% damage buff each. So at the end of the day, after all the math is done, the total buffs on all the T-dolls, LWMG will have 76%, and same with M2HB. MP446 will have 36, and Type 97 will have 36% increase as well. So it's pure damage for this team, and that's what machine guns want at the end of the day. Just pure, raw damage. So now we get into the fun stuff. Oh boy, fairies. This is a big game changer, is it not, Brassy?
Well, they're pretty small, but yes.
So, fairies, we're going to be going over a very brief introduction for you new players. So, for you new players who might have heard of fairies, we're going to be going over things of like, hey guys, here we go. Fairies, it's a general introduction about what to expect. So, the first thing that fairies do is they increase the statistics of your T-dolls. Now, the amount of stat increase is determined by two factors: the level of the fairy and the rarity of the fairy. Now, Brassy, the level and rarity, there's a limit though between the. There's like a limit break for it, correct?
So yeah, you call it rarity. I think a better
Star
term for it might
level.
be. star rating. Yeah, star
Stop.
rating or star level.
Hmm.
So what happens is when you first get a fairy, you're gonna have her at 1 star, a single star, 1 star fairy. As you level her up, she will eventually grow, and um her little the stat bonus she gives will also increase. But at a certain point, that stops, and you'll need to limit break her to rarity 2 star at level 20, and you do that by uh, throwing enhancing her with other fairies of either you know which get a bonus if they're of the same type. But you're gonna need to increase her rarity all the way up, and eventually at level 100, she's gonna need to be at 5 star rating to get her full effect.
So in other words, it's possible to over level fairies because if they get over a certain level, the increase is going to be capped out by the rarity. Correct?
Yes, and the enhancement can also be go over what their rarity is if their level is not high enough.
So you need to level them in tangent.
Yes.
So given the cannibalistic nature of fairies, there's some fairies will give each other more points towards the cap. If it's the same talent, they give 15 points instead of the normal 10, correct?
Yeah, if it's the same talent, they get a 150% bonus to how much enhancement they get from it.
And if it's a duplicate fairy, they get 100 points. And if it's a duplicate fairy with the same talent, they get a whopping 150 points then, correct?
Yep.
And increasing the level of the fairies now is done same way you would level a T-doll. Combat reports are actually leeching EXP from fights, correct?
Yes.
And these stat bonuses are static, so even if the skill for the fairy isn't being utilized, the stat increases will always be applied, correct?
Yes. It will always be applied. They don't have a physical form during the battle, so they'll never take damage or any. They don't have any health either. So, though that bonus is always active as long as they're up.
And you're not going to oath any fairies, correct?
Unfortunately, no. I've
Wait,
tried.
wait. Unfortunately, what? You tried? Brassy, Brassy.
I plead the fifth.
Solum. Bring in the pepper spray and well, actually not the pepper spray. Bring in the bear mace. Okay, bear mace. We're gonna need that. So the next aspect of fairies are the talents. Now talents are fun, as these are randomized, correct?
Yes. Who doesn't love completely random talents?
And there's some really good ones, and then there's some that are just complete garbage. But also, talents don't always get activated, correct?
Yes, talents have a chance to activate depending on what your fairy. Well, depending on what talent they are, first of all, and secondly, depending on what rarity your fairy is.
Mm. So if you look at the charts on the screen, we have the talent activation rate for silver talents and gold talents. These are the two tiers of talents. There's the tier silver and tier gold. Based on the percentage and the star rarity of them, you can see the proc chance with a 5-star rarity fairy, the talents will always proc. And these talents can be re-rolled using 60 calibration tickets.
Yep, it's pretty expensive, but if you're aiming for that really good talent, then it can be pretty worth it, especially if you have a fairy that's already been enhanced.
Mm. Now, would you recommend re-rolling fairy talents early on, or would you say stay away from it, just keep the fairies, then worry about min-maxing them later?
If you have a fairy that's pretty low level, like level 1 or level 10 even, that like hasn't been enhanced at all or anything like that, I would definitely say to just hold off on rerolling, because later on you just might get one fairy that's of the same kind but has a better talent,
So in other words,
and you can just use that one instead.
wait till they're leveled up more to start re-rolling the talents then, correct?
Yes, absolutely. You do not. It costs a lot, even more than MG and SGs, to improve your fairy.
Oof, more resources. And people wonder why people are wondering why I'm stockpiling resources, because fairies are going to destroy our resources, are they not?
Yeah, I've been on like 4 digit, 5 digit resources, kind of like yo-yoing between the two for the past like 5 months.
Oof,
Thanks to
that's
fairy,
that's
thanks to
bad.
constant fairy crafts.
Alright, so the last part about fairies is that each fairy has their own unique skill. So I think this is the most, arguably the most interesting part of the fairy. So they have two different varieties of fairies, correct? There's the combat and support types or tactical types.
Yeah, and what happens is they're actually not that different. So what happens with the combat types is these are types of skills that can be used infinitely many times in a turn. So they'll say you have turn one, you can use them in a fight, you can use them in a second fight in the same turn, and they'll just keep activating your skill over and over again for every single battle as long as you have automatic fairy skills on. Tactical types are a little bit different. You have to manually activate them every turn, and they usually offer bonuses that lasts for only a couple. They either offer a buff that lasts for a couple of turns, or they do something special that changes the map or puts down an effect somewhere.
Ah, so sort of like how we have the illuminating fairy or the flashlight fairy right there. And what she does is gives you vision one tile around your echelon like a handgun. So you're able to have the bonus effect of a handgun without actually having the handgun, correct?
Yeah, you can have a bonus handgun without having a handgun, or you can increase echelon that does have a handgun. Their vision will go from two tiles to three, or two
Ooh,
nodes to three nodes,
so
and
even
that'll give
further.
you a ton of vision on certain maps. Um, a lot of people were using this during Cube, even back in the Korean server during Cube Plus. They're using Illumine to just like immediately find out where Ouroboros was without having to even like guess.
Wow. And the mortar fairy, what can you tell us that mortar fairy right there?
She has a combat type skill that activates, like I said, an infinite amount of times per turn. But for in once per battle, basically, about 8 seconds in, she'll drop a pretty big explosion somewhere in the back line of the enemy.
Oh, it's different from the air raid fairy?
Yes, it's different from the air raid fairy, which basically just covers the entire map with explosions. The mortar fairy will drop one big explosion in one place on the map, and it'll deal a couple thousand damage, I believe.
A couple
It's very
thousand?
powerful.
A couple thousand? Like here on EN, we heard a couple thousand. We're like, what? And I'm assuming
I
later
mean, you
on
have
that's not
nuke
much.
teams that deal. Yeah, I believe EN has had nuke teams that deal like
But
30k,
yeah, but
40k
talking
for a
about
long time
the
now.
entire back line though, that not just on one enemy, but the entire back line.
Well, usually it'll only hit like one enemy, but if
And
you're unlucky, it'll only hit one enemy.
that's
Um,
that sounds like a reset to
and
me.
it's and 8 seconds in, by that time you're hopefully only gonna have one or two enemies left anyway. So it's a pretty slow skill. More important than that, though, is that her passive stat bonus gives a massive firepower bonus.
Oh, got it, got it. And another thing is that these skills, these special skills, just like your T-Doll special skills, can be leveled in the research center. Same place we level your T-Doll skills, and it uses training data. However, it takes significantly more data and time. I leveled up my fairy skill from like level 2 to 3. It takes 6 hours. I'm like, geez, it
six
takes
hours
so
is
long.
6 hours is very little. I believe the final skill, going from skill level 9 to 10 on dolls, can take up to 48 hours.
You mean for fairies?
Yeah, sorry for fairies.
Jeez, no wonder we're having this month a bonus for daily is, hey guys, 100 batteries, 600 training basic data, 300 intermediate, 150 advanced data. Take this data, guys, buy it. You're gonna need it for fairies. Take the
I will also
batteries.
mention that they do require double the amount of skill chips to level up.
Oh, jeez, so even more. And fairy. Now, these skills, though, are also limited. You can't just go spamming these. They're actually limited by fairy command points, correct?
Oh yeah. Um, so each fairy skill, every single time they activate, you will have to spend a certain amount of fairy command points.
And
because
these
you can't just program them to listen to what you say.
exactly, and these command points, each one will like is like consume like one, two, three, four, five. Is like six the max, or is it five the max?
5 is the max.
Okay, so the biggest one will use five. Got it. And these points are recharged via the fairy domes, which is our next segment. The fairy dome! Yay! So this is going to be a brand new addition to our dorms called the Fairy Dome, and it's got four main features. It's got the Fairy Fortress, the Fairy Weather System, the warehouse, and the train station. Each of them has their own unique purpose. Now the Fortress. The Fortress is a gatekeeper to upgrade other facilities. It's like the data room, the desk, but it doesn't make any combo reports. In other words, to level up the other portions of the fairy room, you have to upgrade the fairy fortress. Then we have the weather system. So what's with the weather system, Brassy?
So upgrading the weather system will increase the amount of XP that fairies get in their battles, which is pretty important because in order to get those passive bonuses up, they will need XP and they will need a lot of XP.
Hmm.
I believe it was 3 times the amount or something like that.
Compared to a T-doll?
Yeah, they will need a massive amount
And then
of experience.
do they get that EXP based on the multipliers from dummy linking, or is just the raw bonus without any of the dummy link EXP bonus?
I believe they get the raw base XP.
That makes things even worse.
I
So,
mean, were you expecting it to get any better?
true, true. And so, in other words, the weather system is very important to level. Do you think it's the most important one to level out of the four?
No, I don't actually think it's compared to some of the other systems. I think you'll find out that the warehouse and the train station can be
More
more
important.
important.
Mm. And at max level, the weather system will give you a 20% of combat experience earned towards the ferry. So that's what you want to look for. Next up, we
Yes.
have the warehouse. Now, this warehouse upgrading will increase the total amount of ferry command points you have stored. So you were saying how this is important.
Yes. Upgrading your ferry warehouse should be most players' first priority because the more ferry command points you have, the more you can use your ferries. And the more you can use the ferries, well, the better.
Oh, and we got a ping here. It's not 5 max, it's 10. Okay. So there's a fairy that has a skill that requires 10 points instead of 5?
Ah, crap. Was there? There might be. Let me think. I'm actually not
Okay.
sure which fairy that would be.
Parachute fairy.
No, Paradrop uses 5.
Oh, it uses 5? Okay. Alright then, well, he says one uses 10. Yuzu, if you don't mind
It
letting us
might have
know
been one of the collab fairies.
one of the collaborative fairies. Okay, well Yuzu, if you figure that out, let us know so we can get it corrected, okay? Thank you very much. Alright, so the warehouse, again, it stores the total amount of fairy command points we have. Now, at max level, 200 is the max. Is it possible to exceed this 200, given like achievement points or something like that? So if you get fairy points from an achievement, will it allow you to go over the max?
Yeah, there's achievements. There's certain. Actually, no, I don't remember if there's certain bundles you can buy that give you fairy points or not. But there's certain achievements that you can get that will that can temporarily increase the amount of fairy command points you have over that 200 limit. And I believe there's also some events that you can do that will give that bonus.
Mm, okay, and then we have the last one, which is the fairy train station, which has the shield fairy. Yay, shield fairy! And upgrading this will increase the amount of fairy command points you get for every cycle of 6 hours. So, what can you tell us about this?
So yeah, this is the second most important building after the warehouse. I think this one will increase the rate at which your fairy points recharge. Basically, normally if you have a fully upgraded warehouse and you somehow manage to blow all your fairy points, say on an X map, a ranking map, it will usually take with a fully upgraded train station, it'll usually take like a day and a half or around 2 days for you to fully recharge all the fairy points that you used up. Without a fully upgraded train station, it will take even longer.
Yikes. So at max, it gives 15 command points per 6 hours.
Yeah.
Now, is this based on the server time reset, or is this based on another set? So is it like, you know how we get batteries at the same time every day? Do these, you get, there's a cycle every 6 hours at the same time every day?
I believe so, but I'm not 100% certain on that.
Oh, and we did figure out that the 10-point one is the Rocket Fairy.
Ah, okay.
So what's the Rocket Fairy do?
The rocket ferry places down a little rocket emplacement, kind of a rocket turret, down on a base, and it will shoot rockets at any enemy that moves within its radius, and it'll damage that enemy that on its map without any doll and without any echelons having to fight
So in other words, it's useless.
it. Well, yeah.
Okay. All right. So that's going to be it for fairies. We are now going into the final segment of the night, which is Q&A. So if you guys have questions that our moderators or other people have not answered, please feel free to ask them now, as we'll bring them up. So we can, if you want to ask a question, please feel free to ask, and we'll do our best to answer them.
All right, so we have one from Seriously Feeder who asks, "Which button do I press to get KSG?" It's a pretty hard to find button, I think. But let me see. Ian has a recommended recipe.
Oh yeah, there's that recommended recipe for shotguns. I believe it's
So yeah,
8184.
you go to your factory, you press on T-Doll production, you press on a list that gives you the list of saved recipes. You go to the recommended tab, and there should be a tab for, or sorry, you go to the heavy production tab, and you go to a list of recipes there, and there's going to be a little tab that says shotgun, and you're going to want to click on the first one that has 8,000 resources needed, and you're going to use that one. You press that button, you get KSG out eventually.
But we're gonna get
If it
that.
doesn't work, you just keep pressing it.
Just keep doing it until you run out of resources. Once you run out of resources, start farming up more. So, to Okami, how to get SAT 16? Well, first you have to get one SAT 8, and then you get another SAT 8, and then you have two SAT 8s, which together equal SAT 16. Easy. That's all you gotta do. And next question, which fairy is the best? So, which fairy would you recommend to players? If they're a new player, which fairy would you recommend to them first?
Well, you're guaranteed to get your first fairy is going to be Command Fairy, the one that gives XP. And she actually has, even though her skill doesn't give your dolls any explicit sort of buff during a battle, her passive is actually quite strong.
Yes. So the passive, so that once you level up a skill, you get that a big chunk of EXP. Now the EXP bonus, does that also translate into bonus EXP for the fairy?
I believe so. I'm actually not sure about that.
Hmm. Okay. And the next one, to both of you, have you pulled today? If yes, did you get grape? I play on EN, so yes, I pulled today. I got two grape carcanos, one strawberry, and one M200. It took me about 68 pulls.
I play on the Chinese servers, so not on EN. I have gotten grape, but and did I pull today? Yes, I did pull today. I did my daily four crafts. I crafted P90. I didn't get her.
Nothing. And
Let's see. One of the first questions we got before the Q&A question even started was, assuming you've just been casually playing you cap on fairy points, what would be the most recommended thing to spend them on? Um, if you
someone
have,
someone answered that. Say it. He answered that with EXP. Use it for the command fairy. So that way, when you
yeah,
grind 0-2, that way they get bonus EXP.
yeah, or there's a certain strat you can do on certain maps, such as a 5-2 and 6-3N for their night maps there,
You just get an air
where
raid.
the air raid fire, you can just one shot all the dolls on the map,
Why don't you just
or all
Zastron
the
then? You could just Zastron that, can't you?
you can Zas run that, but if you're doing like if you don't have Zas, then but you for whatever reason have an airstrike fairy, you can do that.
Mm. All right. Solum asks, With fairies coming out and the meta changing, do some T-dolls like machine guns that normally have low accuracy will be able to use better scopes, for example, PK, MG5 or AEK 99? So in other words, will the accuracy buffs from some of the fairies, will it be, so hey, guess what? This machine gun is now above the 35%. You can slap on an EOT instead of a VFL. So that right there I can answer. You want to use that 35 magic number, Solum. Look at that. Look at the amount of accuracy they have and see how much the percent is going to give them. If it's going to be 35, then give them that crit scope. So that way they can use that better scope. And next question. Is it going to be completely broke when fairies come out and having no resources to go for AA12, Saiga, or Spas 12? So in other words, our resources are going to be destroyed because we're getting fairies and a new batch of shotguns in the same month. Will our resources be destroyed? Yes, they will.
Yeah, your resources are absolutely gonna go to it's gone. Just say goodbye, kiss them goodbye.
So we're gonna be depending on those passive resources. In other words, correct?
Yeah. Is it worth going completely broke though?
For any of the
Generally,
shotguns.
yeah. You're not gonna. I don't think. Mm, I don't know. Deep dive won't shouldn't be coming out for a month or two, so you have a little bit of leeway. But I would say after this month, you definitely want to start saving up.
Okay. And seriously, Fida, that question I recommend going into the Discord. If you go to the panels down below and join the GFLCast Discord, you can ask that in the Ask Help section, and there'd be a lot of people who'd be more than happy to help you answer that question. And next question, like AAT means a shot. I think he means Eton means the machine gun. So AAT, I don't know too much about AAT. I haven't done much research with her. Have you?
Yeah, she's one of the night battle shotguns or shotguns. She has one of the night battle MGs, but she is a second volley MG, I believe.
Oh, okay. And next question. If I use Airstrike or Command Fairy in 6-3 Night or 8-1 In, what is better? Well, Command Fairy doesn't increase won't wipe them out. I mean, you use Airstrike to clear out the enemies. I guess with the Command Fairy, I'm assuming using ZAS, because 8-1 and 6-3 Night, those are ZAS maps, correct?
Yeah.
So yeah, if you're gonna be grinding, I recommend using the Command Fairy. But if you don't have a ZAS, then yeah, use Airstrike because they'll just wipe out the tarantulas before they have a chance to do any damage, correct?
Yep.
Okay, and then someone answered it. Will fairies require cores? Yes, they will. So just like heavy construction, there's different tiers for fairy construction, correct?
Yes, there are your the first tier of fairy constructions requires 2 cores per craft.
And then you have the second tier, which I have pulled up right here. Hang on.
It'll
Come on.
require 4, and the third tier requires 6.
Yes, so yeah, it's 2, 4, and 6, but the crafting tickets are just like heavy production. One crafting ticket for tier 1, 20 for tier 2, and 50 for tier 3. Now, there are some official rates, according to Demise, regarding heavy craft production. If you use tier 1 with a 500, 500, 500 recipe, you have a 27% chance of getting a fairy, 11% of 5-star equipment, 22% of 4-star, and 40% for 3-star equipment. And then for tier 2, you have a 37% chance for a fairy, and tier 3, you have a 47% chance at a fairy. So in my opinion, I don't think it's worth it to do the higher tiers, because it's only a 20% increase.
For me, it's not a question of whether or not it's worth it. It's the question of whether or not I have the resources for it.
So you're not limited by cores and contracts. You're limited by your rations, your ammunition, your parts. That's what you're limited by.
You're limited by the rationality of how far you can make it before going slowly insane as you watch all your resources go down the drain.
So when we have the fairies, so another question for fairies. Are there any fairies that are known as universal fodder?
Yes, there are.
So, what's some universal fodder fairies that we can always use for enhancement that we should never bother leveling?
There is one certain fairy called Sniper Fairy. Um, she does a flat damage, I believe. Yeah, her skill does a flat damage after a very long cooldown, much like our current bamboo RF. She's basically a third bamboo RF that doesn't quite time her shot correctly to work with our current bamboos.
We got another question here. When you brick 500 times 4 and a 5-star equipment comes out, are scopes the only possible drops? That you're gonna have to read the Q&A for the there's actually a recipe for heavy production that Mika released. I'll link it in the Guilds Front GFLCast Discord under guides, so you'll be able to see it. And construction time for fairies are like 3 hours or more, I believe. The lowest one is 3 hours, which is the armor fairy, and the biggest one is like the construction fairy, which is like 5 hours and 30 minutes. So you're gonna know when you've got a fairy because it's gonna take 3 hours or more. That's when you know you got it. And I believe that is it. We have all the time for questions for today. So as always, thank you everybody for being here tonight. And we're going to so make sure you please join the Discord so that way you can keep up. We have lots of dank memes, good conversation, good help in there. If you have a friend code, need some help, post in there. We have sections for EN, JP, as well as other servers. And trading cards, yes, I've already posted the trading cards in the GFLcast Discord under the trading cards section. So if you want those sweet LWMG, like this one right here, trading card, you can download it and you'll have it available. Same with the Type 97. There are also trading cards from previous podcasts in there as well. The podcast will be uploaded to YouTube probably by the end of tomorrow morning, so it will be available if you wish to review it. Other than that, thank you everybody for being here and have a great night.
And don't forget to sign up to volunteer for the GF Wiki. We will definitely not put you in a sweatshop.
All right, now Selim, if you don't mind, come on in. We have Get Brassy arrested, okay? All right, thanks everyone.
Ah. No, wait, no, you can't do this to me. No, no.